edition of For the Now Space News. I haven't done one of these in a long time. There's a lot of events going on right now on this earth that I feel could use some attention or focus drawn to them. Now I'm going to loosely keep this show the way it was before when I was doing it years ago, or however long ago it was, but it's not going to be exactly the same because, quite frankly, I haven't really gone back and watched the way I did those other ones. I will be discussing a touchy topic towards the end of the video. I'm not going to put it right here because the algorithm will spot it right away and I'll probably run into issues. That's why I will bury it at the end, because most people's attention spans aren't focused enough to pay attention for the whole video. They only watch the first few minutes, and especially when I start talking about grammar, pew, they disappear. But that's okay, because the ones who are serious and the ones who want to learn will stay and learn. And we know how few of those there are. So welcome. Thanks for joining me. Hope you like the Now Space News. Here is a headline that reads, U.S. plans to ease human rights criticism of El Salvador, Israel, Russia. Leaked draft reports show the Trump administration is planning to eliminate or downplay accounts of prisoner abuse, corruption, LGBTQ+ discrimination, and other alleged abuses as it pertains to the countries of El Salvador, Israel, and Russia. Well, isn't that interesting? Why wouldn't it? I mean, the Trump administration pretty much is doing exactly the same thing as the last administration has done. They've done a few things to appease their fervent following, but overall, they're not making good on their promises. Just like any other politician, I don't know why people think that one political party is different than the other, one selected president is different than another. It just doesn't make sense to me that people would think that. But hey, everybody's on their own learning curve. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through, and in the context of correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, I'm going to syntax. You see the number values on your screen. You can check out the syntax key up there somewhere for closure on those number values. Also in yellow, I'm going to highlight particles of negation. What we would know as particles of negation, word particles that mean no. They have a negative conditional state, and I'll explain that to you as we go. So you see the little logo up there, whatever it is, something P, that's a pronoun, that's a for. I know it's hard to see on there because I had to hand do this on the computer. Read it, read in app, that's a pronoun, adverb, verb. Sign in, that is an adjective pronoun. National security, adjective pronoun. Foreign policy, adjective pronoun. Intelligence is a pronoun. And then this little word over here would also be a pronoun. This is in some sort of bubble or box, which you don't really need to syntax it because it's not on the page, but we'll give it a for. We'll give it a pronoun. U.S. is tangible contract, that is an adjective. It's an abbreviation with the balance of the honor and the grace. It means United States. So that could also be a 3.8 if you wanted to go that far with it. And that is coloring plans into a pronoun. Nothing can follow a pronoun except for breaking the continuance of the evidence, or this adverb in the future tense, to. And that's modifying ease into an adjective, which is coloring human into an adjective, which is coloring rights into an adjective, which is coloring criticism into a pronoun. And that's followed by adverb of, which is modifying L into an adjective, which is coloring Salvador into a pronoun. Israel is a pronoun, Russia, pronoun. Those are standalone pronouns because of the commas performing as breaks in the continuance of the evidence. Leaked, adjective in the past tense. Draft, adjective. Reports, adjective. Show, pronoun. The, adverb. Trump, adjective. Administration, adjective. Is, adjective because is tangible contract. Planning, pronoun. 2 is future tense adverb. Eliminate, adjective. Or is a conjunction, so that's a 0. And that is serving as a bridge between the two adjectives eliminate and downplay. Accounts is a pronoun, thus ending that particular scenario, followed by adverb of, adjective prisoner, pronoun abuse, and then a break in the continuance of the evidence with the comma, corruption, standalone pronoun, another break in the continuance of the evidence, comma, and then the whatever that is, LGBTQ, which we don't know what the hell that is. It's whatever they say it is, I suppose. That's an adjective, and a discrimination is a pronoun, another conjunction, and then we have other as an adverb. That conjunction is serving as a bridge between two syntax scenarios, a 3-4 and a 1-3-4. Alleged is an adjective in the past tense, and then abuses is a pronoun, thus finishing that particular syntax scenario. If you read the headline, U.S. plans to ease human rights criticism of El Salvador, Israel, Russia. They're telling you they plan to do this. Doesn't mean that they're going to follow through on those plans. Plans could change. But you're going to notice this in these headlines, in a lot of headlines. It's about what's going to happen, or what they say is going to happen. But does it ever really happen? Sometimes, but sometimes not. So news headlines, a lot of them are what we would call predictive programming, I guess you could say it. It's programming us to think one thing or another if we're reading this, especially, if you think of your parents or mom and dad, uncles, anyone older than you perhaps from the old school who have been eased into this generation of media skullduggery. It's a predictive programming thing. You'd be surprised if people would discuss this headline. They'll say, oh, Trump's not going to talk about human rights criticism anymore, about Israel or Russia. But does it, does it really matter? Probably not. And also, folks, keep in mind all these headlines based on this right here. The next headline reads, Trump and Putin plan meeting on Ukraine as early as next week. It was unclear whether Putin offered Trump any concessions in exchange for a meeting, but it would be a significant win for Putin after weeks of Trump's verbal attacks. So we got an adjective conjunction, adjective pronoun situation here, syntax scenario. You got particles of negation in and meeting, because the ing is a gerund modifier, and the a and is a vowel in front of a consonant at the beginning of a word. On Ukraine, adverb verb. Again, you see the particles of negation there. Which, with the balance of the honor and the grace, I probably, in hindsight, would go back and take the particle of negation highlighter off of Ukraine because it is a name. So I wouldn't credential a particle of negation in a name like that, just for balance of honor and grace, just like there's folks out there walking around with a vowel in front of a consonant at the beginning of their name. Who would who would point that out? Not me. I don't like to do that, really. And then we have a break in the continuance of the evidence with the comma, and then as early as next week, pronoun, adverb, verb, adverb, dangling participle, verb. I'm not going to go through the rest of it. You can just see that we have some other interesting scenarios here. We have a 134034. The reason why I syntax the 134034 syntax scenario instead of having a 133034 scenario is because with the balance of honor and grace, Robin Dixon and Natalie Allison are actually two different names. So I compartmentalize them because we're not trying to be misunderstood here, are we? We're trying to make sense of this. So that's why I syntaxed it in that fashion. You can see the particles negation in here. Again, you can look all this stuff up and certify it for yourself, or you can check out the over 1,000 videos, free videos on this YouTube channel. P.S. Notice it again. It's a planned meeting. Trump and Putin plan to meet on Ukraine. So here you have the Ukraine, and Trump and Putin are going to meet on Ukraine, right? And they're planning to do this, which means, you know, the plans may fall through. We never know. Next headline. Fort Stewart shooting, suspect in custody. 5 soldiers wounded, officials say. So we have adjective, pronoun, CBS News, adjective, 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 pronoun, adverb, verb, breaking the continuance of the evidence. 5, which is a number, is an adjective. Why? Because it has not been positioned as a fact with positionals and loadials, so therefore it's to be treated like anything else. Rule 1, rule equal. Soldiers, adjective, wounded, pronoun, past tense, breaking and continuance of the evidence with the comma, and then adjective, pronoun, officials say. Now this is an interesting situation from what I understand and what I've gathered. A soldier opened fire on other soldiers using his own personal firearm. It wasn't a military issued firearm. It was his own personal firearm. And as far as I know, no one passed away. And as he did that, he immediately was taken to the ground and neutralized by other soldiers. So my thought in this is that I hope that this becomes a thing out there on the street, not just at a military base, where if people see this stuff happening, they stop it. They put an end to it, doing whatever they need to do to stop it. Instead of holding your phone and recording what you see going on, whether it's a shooting or a physical confrontation out in the street, instead of filming it and going, "Oh shit, oh shit," why don't you help somebody? How about that? Just a thought. Next headline reads, Texas prison camp where Ghislaine Maxwell was moved steps up security. An official attributed the enhanced security to Maxwell's presence, but could not say if there have been direct threats to inmates or the prison. That's funny. That makes me picture in my head that an official, whoever that is, of course we never credential anybody, do we? People don't take authority over their words. It's just an official said that the enhanced security was due to Maxwell's presence, but they could not say if there have been direct threats to the inmates or prison, which means in my head I was picturing somebody as the official was talking, somebody put their hand over their mouth like, and then they couldn't say anything else. Just the way some of these things are worded, hilarious to me. So we have, we'll look at Texas, adjective, prison, adjective, camp, pronoun. Nothing can follow pronoun except for you know the rest. Adverb where, modifying Ghislaine into an adjective, which is coloring Maxwell into an adjective, which is coloring was into an adjective in the past tense. Yes, was is tangible contract. Look it up. Moved, adjective in the past tense. Steps, pronoun, followed by adverb up, and then dangling participle verb security. But we'll see what happens because really, as far as I know, this woman is the first individual to be accused or imprisoned of trafficking exactly no one. And here we have a headline that is breaking news, adjective pronoun breaking news. Saudi Arabian Prince Salman says, and I quote, "The Palestinian issue doesn't concern me. I only care about my own country." End quote. It has been banned to deliver sermons or pray for Palestine in mosques in Saudi Arabia. Chanting slogans for Palestine is prohibited in the country. If you notice, I have not syntaxed what is in the quotations simply because it's not there on the page. However, if it was there, the would be an adverb. Palestinian would be an adjective. Issue would be a pronoun. Doesn't would be an adverb. Concern would be an adjective. Me would be a pronoun. I is a pronoun. Only is an adverb. Care is an adjective. About is a pronoun. My is an adverb. Own is an adjective. And country would be a pronoun. So it's very interesting. This led me to think, there's only one reason why I could think that this prince would say this or do this. And sure enough, this is what I found. So I looked up on Google. I said, are Israel and Saudi Arabia allies? I said, no, Israel and Saudi Arabia are not formal allies, but they share a complex and evolving relationship characterized by clandestine cooperation, and a growing convergence of strategic interests against a common threat, Iran. While they haven't established diplomatic relations, there have been recent discussions about normalization, potentially linked to a U.S. brokered agreement. So no formal alliance, secret cooperation, i.e. clandestine. There's a history of covert cooperation. A potential normalization deal could involve a U.S. defense pact with Saudi Arabia and a civilian nuclear program for the kingdom, in addition to progress on the Palestinian front. What does that mean? See, Saudi Arabia, it's okay. The folks that are allowed to have nuclear weapons, do you see this, folks? Folks like Israel, Saudi Arabia, U.S., they're all part of an alliance. So supposedly what folks back in the day would call the good guys, but not really the good guys, it's just the most powerful guys. And they don't want anyone else who thinks for themselves or wants to be sovereign in their own right they don't want a geometric level playing field of contract. It's just like you walking into a foreign vessel in dry dock. There is no geometric level playing field in the fiction system. They have the guns and clubs. You don't. You're at a disadvantage. That's why the coalition or allies or whoever, Saudi Arabia, US, Great Britain, Israel, whoever, they got the bigger guns and clubs than the rest of the world, except for Russia and China, of course. Which that's all you got to know to understand this worldwide chessboard. So let's go a little deeper into this. What are the Abraham Accords? They're a series of agreements signed in 2020 that normalize diplomatic relations between Israel and several Arab nations. The initial agreement signed on September 15, 2020 involved Israel, United States, Arab Emirates, and Bahrain. Later, Morocco and Sudan also joined the accords. These agreements, brokered by the United States, are seen as a significant shift in geopolitical landscape of the Middle East, fostering cooperation and potentially promoting regional stability. So it's normalization of relations beyond diplomacy. The accords extend beyond formal diplomatic relations, encompassing increased trade, tourism, investment, and security cooperation, i.e., money. Money, 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 money. Economic growth, money. Need I say more? Here's some memes I'd like to look at so we can end this broadcast on a humorous note. This meme says, "I've been vegan for 6 months and I've never felt better. Taylor Swift." Now, you and I both know that's not Taylor Swift. But how funny is that? This next one is a rare photo of Keith Richards waiting for electricity to be discovered. With the recent passing away of Ozzy Osbourne, Keith is really an endangered species, isn't he? And he is his own species. He's probably thinking of another girl. What if Drickus survives the first round? Now this is more for the viewers watching that follow mixed martial arts. Next weekend, I think it's the 16th, the middleweight champ of the world, Drickus du Plessis, is going to take on Khamzat Chimaev. And Khamzat Chimaev is a very, very scary individual with unreal strength in wrestling and also power in his striking. However, Drickus has proven that he's an awkward, hard fight for anyone. And he's grappled with heavyweights who say that he's super strong. So that's the context of this meme. If Drickus survives the first round, and I don't even know if he'll survive it. I mean, he might dominate it. But as this fight goes on, and it's a 5-round fight, 5-minute rounds, Drickus will gain advantage and get stronger. Guaranteed. So I'm looking forward to this fight. I haven't looked forward to a fight like I'm looking forward to this fight in a long time. And I pick Drickus. Drickus is African. So that's your African brother right there. And the final meme. This is breaking news. Ghislaine Maxwell has tragically committed beep next week. Ghislaine Maxwell, R.I.P. 1961 to next week or so. And that's the Now Space News for this week. I think I will end these broadcasts on words of wisdom. And these words of wisdom go like this. What is the definition of a smartass? Someone who can sit on an ice cream cone and tell you what flavor it is. Good night.